Hey, Brian from SnakeBytes here. From a guy that keeps tens of thousands of animals, there's always the stories of animal hoarding. So we're going to take a look at what animal hoarding is in this week's show. You're watching SnakeBytes. I started keeping reptiles when I was 15 years old, and I've told the story a bunch of times that my very first snake was a Burmese python. Now, I'm not sure that's the best way to start out, but certainly snakes like my girl Sunshine here started my lifelong passion for reptiles. But it wasn't long until I moved on to more manageable size snakes, and that was corn snakes and other colubrids. That's when it was very apparent to me that one snake, two snakes, or even 100 snakes was probably not going to be enough to meet that desire I had to keep a lot of animals. That brings me to the topic of this week's show, animal hoarding. Now, we've all seen the TV shows and read the newspaper clippings of people that keep 50 or 100 cats or keep tanks all over the place. I want to take a look at what hoarding really is.
Hoarding is a pathological or compulsive disorder characterized by acquiring or failing to throw out large numbers of items that would appear to have no value to others, a severe cluttering of person's home or workplace so that it is no longer able to function as a viable living environment, a significant distress or impairment of work or social life. About 15% of people with OCD report compulsive hoarding as a primary problem. While it usually begins as childhood, it often goes unnoticed until adulthood. People who hoard often have relatives that have engaged in the same compulsive hoarding.
What's the largest number of cats found in one person's house? A, slightly over 250, B, slightly over 400, or C, slightly over 700? Go ahead and comment down below and check back later in the show to find out if you're right. Alright, so now that we know what hoarding is, let's break it down topic by topic. Let's start with the one that says that you collect a bunch of stuff that has no value to anyone else. Let me start by saying we have thousands of snakes, and we certainly don't look at any of them as a dollar bill. They are little lives because we just absolutely love all our animals. But the truth is, there is some value to them, isn't there? Take, for instance, this banana pinstripe that we just hatched out. It goes for about $7,000 to $7,500. That certainly isn't something that doesn't have value. Now, certainly not all animals are worth thousands of dollars. Take, for instance, this corn snake here. As a baby, it's probably only valued at $25. But my point is that we're keeping all these animals and there is some value to them. They're not worthless by any means. And I can't stress enough that we don't put dollar amounts on our animals when we think about the care of them. After all, we're animal lovers and they're worth a lot to us over and above their monetary value. The next topic is difficulty getting rid of items, or in this case, animals. Now, this is a little bit more of a gray area because we all get emotionally attached to our animals. I want to tell you a story about this snake in particular. This is a cream. Next topic I want to discuss is clutter in your living or workspace that makes it impossible for you to live normally or work efficiently. Well, these are all baby ball pythons in all of these racks here, and they're going to eventually go out to the pet trade and become someone's pets. And some people might say, with all these racks, it's really difficult to keep on your work task. But the truth is, we're very organized. Each rack is numbered and lettered, and we know each day which rack needs to be cared for, and we move on to the next rack. So we don't look at keeping tons of animals in these racks as a hoarding situation. The next thing that hoarders do is they take in a bunch of free stuff or really cheap stuff that they really don't need or they certainly can't care for. Well, you guys all know my black-tailed Crebo named Maya. She's one of my favorite animals. Well, it wasn't too long ago that I got a phone call about another black-tailed Crebo, but unfortunately, this one wasn't in very good shape. and he just wanted to give it to me to see if I could bring it back. This is the animal right here, and we've had it for about a month, and she's eating and doing really well, but you can see how skinny it is. Its backbone is just sticking up. It actually has some crinkles in its spine. I'm really not sure what it was all about, but I took it in because I knew I could give it the proper care and hopefully nurse it back to health. The point is you don't want to take in an animal, even like this black-tailed Crebo, that you can't give the proper care to. If you're not able to care for it, pass on it. A free animal is certainly not worth anything if you're going to take it in and not care for it properly. But do keep in mind, you can always bring an animal in and rehome it immediately to someone that can care for it. Hoarding, and more importantly, animal hoarding, is not nearly as much about the number of animals you have, but the way you can care for them. I know people that have 10 snakes that don't have the ability to feed them and house them properly. That would be considered animal hoarding. And in our case, we have tens of thousands of snakes, but we have the ability to make sure that the animals get fed, they get watered, they get cleaned. We have the ability to pay for the electrical to make sure that they have the utilities they need. That way we can work with amazing animals, and we can certainly work with them in big quantities. So again, it's not so much about the quantity as much as your ability to care for those animals. Most hoarders are extremely disorganized. Let's face it, we've all seen the TV shows and the pictures of people that have tanks all over their house or 50 cats running around. But the truth is, most animal people are very organized. As you grow your collection, you have to be more organized in order to care for the animals properly. That's really why the advent of these racking systems came in. You can see there's no lids on these animals, so they're just like drawers. That way you can open up and work with the animal immediately. You don't have the step of taking the tank down, taking the lid off. You can work with them just like this. As you grow your collection of animals, you need to be even that much more organized. Let's face it, if you have a really good system, the animals are going to be cared for exemplary. Another thing that hoarding is said to do is impair your social life. Now this is a tricky one for a reptile or an animal person, because let's face it, our social life pretty much evolves around animals, doesn't it? If we're not working with animals, which makes us happy, we're typically around people that work with animals. So we kind of share that same social atmosphere. Now I'm not so sure if that's a bad thing or not, but I tell you what, sometimes I'd rather spend some time with the bearded dragon than most of the people I know. I tell you what, they say that 15% of OCD or obsessive compulsive disorder people have some form of hoarding. Now this concerns me a little bit because I do have a couple little quirks when I'm collecting snake eggs for whatever reason. And I'm going to share them with you guys now, and you can make fun of me all you want. But the first thing is, whenever I'm pulling snake eggs, when I start the year, I have to use the exact same pen the entire season. If I don't, I absolutely freak out. So I make sure that no one loses my pen, because this pen is super important to me when I'm marking down egg clutches. Now the other thing I do with pulling clutches of eggs is I use these yellow dots to just tell when that female laid their clutch of eggs. I'm really particular about this. You have to start in the left corner with that sticker and go all the way down the pad. If someone takes a red, yellow dot in the middle, I'll absolutely freak out because it's out of order. I guess that's a little bit of my OCD, and I'm not sure if I should be proud of it or not. But the bottom line, guys, is when you're talking about animal hoarding, it really always comes down to the care of the animals. It doesn't matter if you have 2 animals or 200,000 animals. If you can care for them, you're really not an animal hoarder. All you have to do is worry about the animal's health.
Jamie, did you take my marker?
No, man. That's funny you say that, though. I'm missing mine, too.
I just had it right here. God.
Hey Josh, you need some more bedding?
Oh, okay. Here, give me a second. I'll be right back.
All right.
Sam, didn't we get bedding this morning?
No, Lori said we're not getting until next week.
Hey Dad, we're all out of cups.
What do you mean? I just bought some yesterday.
I don't know, I looked everywhere. There's no more cups left.
All right, that's whatever. I'll take care of it. All right.
Alright, today you guys got to see Brian break down the difference between hoarding and collecting. There is a big difference. But I want to know, what's something weird that you've seen someone have a lot of? Leave a comment below and let us know.
So there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed the show and had a chance to get a little bit of a better understanding the difference between keeping a lot of animals and animal hoarding. If you guys want to follow any of my animal adventures, make sure to hit me up over on Facebook and Twitter at SnakeBytesTV. Till next week, you've been watching Snake Bites. What's the largest number of cats found in one person's house? If you said C, slightly over 700, you're absolutely correct. Good job. Hoarding is a pathological or compulsive disorder characterized by acquiring or